Hey guys, Apav here, and you're probably a bit confused by this video title. So, I've been trying to think of a cool idea for this Sunday, and well, it's gone kind of crazy. I've been wanting to make a video for a while talking about my faith or incorporating my faith more into my YouTube channel. I haven't really been able to figure out how, and I've been praying about it a lot, but just no ideas come up, so still trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go from here. I was gonna make a video kind of stepping in for churches this Sunday, since most churches are closed due to the coronavirus, but I'm just not a preacher. I tried to come up with something to talk about. I tried to speak into this microphone for a while, and it either doesn't sound inspirational or I just lose train of thought very quickly. So I thought maybe we could just talk. I don't talk to you guys that much. Well, I talk to you guys a lot in YouTube videos, but not to a camera. And yeah, I thought I might just ramble in a microphone for a while and keep you company while the coronavirus is going on. And what better topic to talk about, right? So if you just want someone to talk to today or just listen to for several minutes or however long this video is, well, I'm here and I'm rambling, so let's see where this goes. So I've actually been working on a website for a while, and it's supposed to have a blog and membership stuff, but I'm not completely done with it, and when I do, I'll let you guys all know because that might be a fun thing to do. But my new motto was going to be for God and gaming. As you can probably tell by my YouTube channel, video games are very important to me. They have given me something to do. They have been both a creative and fun outlet, and also just a good place to grow with friends when I got into multiplayer. So games have always been a big part of my life, and one thing I always believed in forever was that you always want to do good. I always want to do right and try to figure out the right thing. And I believe it's very hard to understand right and wrong without believing in some form of universal truth. And no one can really say that they can be the dictator of universal truth. Who am I to tell you what's right and wrong? And that's why I believe in God or some superior being, whatever you wish to call him. At least one of the many reasons. Humans don't really have instincts. We have morality. We have a conscience. And not just a conscience as in oh, I'm awake, but as in oh, this is a bad thing and this is a good thing. But even if people have different morals, we still understand that we have to have morals to some degree. And among many other things that we naturally believe in and we naturally feel drawn to, I think that outlines our intended purpose, and the intended purpose that's outlined in Genesis, which is everything that we hate, everything that we think is wrong, most of it we weren't intended for. We were intended for this perfect world without death, without breakups, without heartache, and all this bad stuff is because of corruption that entered the world. And that's why we feel bad about things that are completely natural, at least natural in this materialistic world that I don't believe that we were made for. That might seem completely radical and crazy already, and I'm sure I've already upset some atheists, but I'm not here to debate, I'm not here to argue science, and I'm not here to say that you're wrong, because that never changes anyone's mind anyways. And all I can really say is I will live my life as an example, you live your life as an example, and tell me which one you think works. I try my best not to be a hypocrite in anything, so I think we can respect each other as long as you try not to be a hypocrite. I think when you try to make all your beliefs work and work together and work with your surroundings instead of expect everything to, like, reality to bend to your whim, you will start to discover truths that you never thought you'd discover. Because science can't always get you all the answers, especially to life. Science helps us discover new things, and it is a good study of the material universe that we're all in. But it's never going to answer religious or philosophical questions, because those are completely different things. That's like trying to solve what a math equation in a history book, unless you're studying the history of math and you're looking at a time period where they understood numbers correctly. They're two separate subjects, and I think for the most part they can't really disprove one another. That's why most famous scientists in history, not in pop culture, never really said whether they believed in God or not, or at least in something religious. Albert Einstein was very vague, and he criticized both the organized religion and just flat out atheism. So again, not here for debates, just here to talk and to say, God has revealed so many things to me and brought so much purpose to my life, and it's through doing good and trying to do good that I feel like I'm truly pursuing the destiny that was laid out for me, the way my life was supposed to be intended. And it has led me to so many coincidental things, and not just like I know everyone runs into a 1 in a million instance at some point in their life, and you could like say, oh, that's just math. But the fact that those things still happen to you, could it have been orchestrated by something higher? Like, okay, a 1 out of a million things going to happen to everybody at multiple times in their lives, but I'm going to make it so it implies to them every one of them specifically. It just seems like, especially when it's something you're praying for, that it isn't just a coincidence, even by mathematics. I know we're talking figures that the human brain can't even understand, but I'm a romanticist in that type, where I believe nature and our minds are much more than just the robotic, planned out events that we like to be able to categorize them in. I believe who we are is more than a bunch of chemical reactions, and that's why when something traumatic happens to us, or something that we decide to press forward, we could develop a mental disorder that we never would have had otherwise. And that's showing that some part of who we are and who we're surrounded by affects our brains even more than our brains affect our brains. And it's what makes complete strangers lay down their lives for each other. And all the Christian martyrs who went to the cross and went to hang on a pole and all these crazy things for something that no one can see and isn't to their benefit in this life. I'm getting really far off track. I didn't mean to get straight into that real quick. Oh boy, I'm not really good at this, am I? I think what I was getting at from the very beginning is, because we're on this fallen world, there's bad stuff. There's bad stuff like the coronavirus. There's bad stuff like birth defects and car crashes and divorces and things caused by human nature, things caused by the nature that we're stuck in, the animals killing people, and everything in between. And people ask, why does God allow this? And it's not that God causes it. Maybe he causes some inconveniences in your life to put you in a place that is even better for you. But bad things aren't God's fault. God is in control, he tolerates them, and he allows all these things to happen, but it's because he loves you. And that sounds crazy, because some horrible things happen, but the only way to get rid of horrible things is if everything was just gone. We always talk about, what if AI gets too powerful and it figures out that the cure to all these bad things is just to kill everybody? And that's true. If you wanted to get rid of all the sin in the world and all the people going to war against each other and all the bad, just kill everybody, because we're already on this fallen planet, and people don't even seem to think it has a purpose sometimes. We think we're just waiting for the universe to end. Why do we exist? But just asking that question kind of proves that, well, we do have a purpose, because why are we asking this? Why are we pursuing these questions? Why are we still naming animals like Adam did in Genesis? Why are we still pursuing these things? But God doesn't want to kill us all. And the only logical reason for that is because he loves us. Instead of destroying the world and making it start over, instead of erasing all of our consciousness from existence, because we all just exist inside this power that is so much greater, it's more infinite than infinity, because it created the concept of infinity. God loves us so much that he didn't just not destroy the world. He wanted a way for our imperfections to be taken away, so we can once again be in this perfect creation that we were intended for. But if this fallen world has control over death, we see animals die, we see people die, how can we ever be with God? Well, when sin entered the world, it took authority over death. All things died. It was like time itself began to move as we know it. And the only way for us to be with God again is if God could somehow take back this authority over death and give it back to us. And he would have to give it back to us in his mercy. And he couldn't just do it with the snap of his fingers without destroying everyone who had already been corrupted by sin. All the people who wanted to let it go, or wanted to be with God again, but couldn't because we're stuck here. So this natural world and all its systems needed some intervention. It needed something to break the scientific laws, the natural laws, whatever you want to refer to them as, and have someone that was perfect. A mortal human being that was somehow perfect. How could perfection be mortal? How could... Because the only reason mortals exist is because we're imperfect. And that is why I believe in English, who we know to be as Jesus entered the world. God entered the earth as a person. It would kind of be our understanding of having a dream, being in control of that dream, being conscious in its entire surroundings, that dream being the size of the entire universe, and then implanting ourselves into one person. So that one person is us. We are still God of this dream, but there's this one odd one out. I believe creation is a lot more than just a giant consciousness, but that is the best way I think humans can perceive it. That God could have a son and it still be a part of God. I think that's why people have a hard time understanding what churches refer to as the Trinity. I personally don't have complete faith behind the Trinity, because in the Bible it never mentions the Trinity. It just mentions that there's God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. I mean, God is the infinite being, so really it should be infinity, not the Trinity. But we know of these three separate branches of God. And God the Son was Jesus. He was born this perfect human being, and when this world and all the sin we brought into it killed Jesus, it killed the first sinless human being. It killed the first sinless anything. But the thing is, Jesus didn't die. He rose again 3 days later, as we hear screamed at us by crazy people on the side of the road all the time. And a lot of us don't even know what that means. We hear John 3:16 quoted at us all the time, and we hear that Jesus rose from the dead 3 days later, but what does that mean to us? It means that if Jesus could rise from the dead, any other human on earth can rise from the dead. And it means that when he rose from the dead, he broke the law and all the control that nature had over death. And that if you believe in this, you have to accept that God himself loves us so much that he would go through the pain of death, the worst thing that a human can kind of imagine, and he would go through all the steps of the pain of death, feeling separated from God like we have been, and feeling betrayed, and not just betrayed by bad people, even though that we're all bad, but not just the wickedest people coming against you, not just the religious authorities coming against you, not just the Roman government coming against you, but your closest friends, the people you refer to as your family over your own mother and brothers. They betrayed you. You were sold off by one of your followers, and the other followers go into hiding, and one of your closest followers denies you 3 times to save his own life. You are betrayed by the people of your community when they can vote on either sparing a murderer or sparing your life. They vote. A popular vote can't save you. The religious leaders don't save you. The government doesn't save you. And you've done nothing wrong. God would go through all that to save a single life. He would go through all that to keep us from sin, so that when we die, we can be with him again, because he loves us. He loves his creation. That's insane. And it's insanity for anyone to believe it. But hey, we're on a rock in the middle of this big black void that no one understands. We might as well believe in something. And if you believe in nothing, what if that lets you down? Where's that taking you? I really hope you're confident in this, because you're not really going to feel hopeful for much. Maybe you do now, but not when you're dying on your bed. And the reason people can rise from the dead and live for eternity like Jesus is because he offered to be our brother. He wanted us to all be family. And if you can be a brother of Jesus, you're also the son of God and the daughter of God. You're literally the sibling of God. You're related to the creator of the universe. And he would do all of this. He would come down here and let us kill him to forgive us of all the bad we've done, so we can be with him. That's crazy. And that's why no matter what you believe, I will love you. No matter how you treat me, I'll try to love you. Because if God can see purpose in you, if God can see purpose in the Roman soldiers who killed him, and all the people who screamed to betray him, and everybody, the worst sins of the world, if he could see purpose in Saul, this guy killing all his brothers and sisters, and make him write more than half the books in the New Testament, I'm sure he can see purpose in you. I'm sure he would have done all this for you. And if God can do all that for you, then I should definitely love you. And no matter what you believe, I just want you to see that. And even if you don't see that now, I'm not going to stop loving you. Your life has purpose. It has purpose from the moment you're born to the moment you're dead, even 2 seconds before you're dead, because anything can happen as long as time is running. And with this coronavirus thing going around, people are giving up literally everything just to save their own life. For who knows, you could live through this thing and then die in a day. You need to focus on what's really important and not just what's the current panic, because we are all physically going to die. We know that, and nothing we can do can save us. We know that works cannot save us, because nothing can make us perfect again. The Bible is full of situations where we aren't saved by works, we're saved by faith. And faith, no matter what time period you're in, that people are saved. Now, how you act upon that faith is what creates good works and what creates good fruit, as Christians in the Bible often refer to as, and Jesus. But you can't just focus on doing good. You have to want to do good, and not just do it for yourself, but do it because that's what you want. That's where your faith is. That's where you want to pursue God, and you want to make others feel loved and know love too. And that's the whole reason Christians try so hard to get others to believe, even when they don't exactly know how to say it or what to say. We want other people to believe because we love you. We want what's best for you. Just some people don't know what they're talking about. People who just try to convince you of things just because they want to feel like they're right, they're not being Christian. To be Christian is to be Christ-like, or to pursue trying to live Christ-like. If you're trying to convince people of something and it's not because you love them, then you're not being Christ-like. You're just being a know-it-all. And if you believe you should treat others as you would want to be treated, think, what would convince you if you didn't already believe these things? And if nothing would convince you, then continue living your life and being the best person you can possibly be, and live as an example, which is the whole point of being Christian. Sorry for getting so deep. I went into this trying to be fun, but we're here now. I know I have subscribers of all different faiths and lack of faiths, and this might lose me some, but I just wanted to talk because with coronavirus going on and we have nothing else to do. Might as well sit in my room and talk about religion, I guess. I'm just gonna say this before I continue talking. Faith is when you trust God, you put your life in Him, you try to do what's right, you believe that He forgives you, you pray for forgiveness, and that also means that you're admitting that those things you did were wrong, and that you have faith that God can forgive them. And when you lay this all before Jesus, He pardons you from everything. And you have faith that when this life is all over, one day we'll rise up like Jesus did, and we'll live for eternity with God, whether you believe that we'll be back on earth, whether you believe that we'll be in heaven, whether you believe we'll rise up the moment we die, or whether you believe we'll rise up when Jesus returns. Whatever you wish to believe, if you believe in these things, you're a sibling of Christ and a son or daughter of God. And if you wish for that, if you think there's some merit to what I'm saying, look into it. And if you already hear what I'm saying and you want a part of this, all you have to do right now is pray to Jesus. Tell Him you're sorry for all your regrets, for all these things that you've been pursuing that was for yourself and not for God's original intent for us. All the times you hurt other people, all the hatred you've ever felt, and that includes for yourself. Let all those things go and accept Jesus into your life. Now, I don't know if anything I've said today makes any sense to anybody, but if it meant anything to you, I hope it spoke to you in some way. And what I was going to say is that God has gotten me through the darkest places, whether that's self-hate, whether that's being an outcast of society and not really feeling like I had a purpose. I just always knew that even if I didn't have an earthly purpose, that there's some reason I'm still alive. So whether that's right now or 5 years from now or when I'm 95 years old, God still has something for me. And it's not me to decide when this life is over. This life is a very short time, and after that is all eternity. So might as well give it everything you got, and then you won't have to regret anything for all eternity. So I was an only child. I was bullied in middle school to an extent, and I really didn't understand society or culture or literally anything. So I retreated into video games, and in 6th grade I would even say that God gave me video games to keep me from running away. At the time, that was the worst thing I could imagine a person doing. was just running away. And that's why video games have been so important to me, as you can tell. I quite like some PlayStation stuff. Got some music down there. Punk rock, woot. And I believe video games have been important to a lot of people. It's an escape. It's somewhat of a safe place, especially if you don't play online. Video games are like the best safe space because it's like your own little world in your TV box. And the school I was going to was a type of place that made me realize why people don't look kindly upon religion. It was a Christian school that had a lot of hypocrisy to it, which is what led me to want to actually polish out my beliefs and have sound apologetics that made sense. And if you're going to be a Christian school, you should care more about the people going there and the people you want to be going there than just how people perceive your school and the people who go to it, because you can get 5,000 kids to say they love Jesus and have no idea who he is or what they're even talking about. And that's the case there, where you have kids who are being bullied in a school where everyone's supposed to know Jesus and love. And meanwhile, the school seems to put forward more things for sports and just public advertising. And it gives the impression that if you are sinful, the punishment isn't death, it's whatever the computer says. So it could mean like an hour of detention. So no one really knows the importance of these rules that no one else in society follows. They just get punished by the school for no reason. And it makes people really dislike the beliefs you're trying to instill in them, because instead of living by example, you're just beating them over the head until they obey, and then once they graduate, they go insane. So I left that school, or was kind of forced to. I had gone to that school for a very long time, and I didn't want to go, but my mom was tired of me being sad all the time, and I went to a smaller school where it was a 3-day-a-week program. 2 days of the week you were essentially homeschooled. It was ludicrous amounts of homework, like 10 hours worth of homework, and then the other 3 days you went to school for like 7-8 hours, however long school is. And there it was so small, like 100 kids from preschool to senior year, not in each class, like the entire school. So we had high school and middle school were basically taking group classes. There it seemed like most of the annoyances just came from like student-teacher disagreements and not like between students. So that was interesting, and that's where I developed most of my beliefs. But these schools, the first school was connected to a Baptist church, and then the second school was more non-denominational but was also connected to the same school. It was like an academy that was technically owned by the other school. We'll get onto that later. But that's where I developed a lot of my personal beliefs and started reading the Bible and being like, wait, that stuff the people at that other school were telling me isn't, like, it's contradicting what's in here. Meanwhile, my parents were Lutheran. We were going to a Methodist church for like the first 12 years I was alive. And so I'm not just like following along with everybody here. I'm just like really far out there as Christians go. I question many things. I don't necessarily like organized religion, as people call it. I always said I was a religious person because religion to me just means a belief in God. It doesn't mean that you're just a part of this cult where everyone has to agree with each other and then everyone else is just left to die. It's ridiculous. And I don't also think you should believe things just because there's a group of people telling you that's how it works. You should always be questioning things and trying to learn more, not just going along with what one person says, especially in the age of the internet, where when you do talk online, you're facing the entire world's worldview. Every single human being has a different outlook on things, and you're going to have a more diverse thinking apparatus up here than just what some dude in their 60s knows, who's never left your town. You gotta do your own thinking too. No offense if any pastors or people I know are specifically in their 60s. I'm not referring to anyone specific. So that school I was talking about that I went to, I got interested in like ethics and worldview and some other stuff there because there's this non-denominational pastor who taught some of the classes. And then I also got big into American history, and everything was all right. Some of the years meshed together because you have the same teachers, and a lot of the students started going away. But the school that I disliked decided to shut down that school for whatever reason. They got a new superintendent. There's a conspiracy going around that he forced our principal to resign for reasons I won't go into unless people actually, because I don't want people to find out about the school and then, libel or whatever. But then I was graduated from 10th grade and didn't really know what I was doing. And I went to this new school called Wellmont Academy, which was Clearwater or St. Pete. It was in Pinellas County, Florida, and it still is in Pinellas County, somewhere in that mess of a county. And it's a very small sort of umbrella school where basically it's a bunch of homeschoolers that go there once a week to have some teachers sort of organize their stuff, teach them some things, and then you do your homework for the rest of the week. And that was a really cool system. They had a lot of experimental ideas. Our math class was taught by Mr. D's math class. It's like this online thing that was pretty cool. He basically was more focused on you learning stuff than actually like taking quizzes and stuff. You could really like cheat your way through it if you wanted to, but I actually learned a lot more through it because like it was more focused on learning than just how good you are at memorizing something and then regurgitating it into a test. And also not just mind-numbing repeating things. At my old schools, you would do like 30 to 60 math problems a day, just pulling your hair out, doing the same thing over and over again, whereas these things were like, okay, you do 5 math problems. I'm more focused on you learning it. So how about we like go over learning the thing opposed to just repeated homework for no reason. I don't know how he still does things, but I liked it. And they also taught a consumer math class, which was pretty cool because consumer math is like the math you need, but they don't teach in school. The reason they don't teach it in school, by the way, is because they say it's only meant for students who don't intend on going to college. You know, the math that teaches you about loans and stuff. The thing a lot of people take out to go to college. You know, you should probably teach kids about loans in high school instead of expecting them to take out a $100,000 loan to go to college. Just a thought there. I'm sure a lot of you people agree somewhat on that. That schools aren't teaching us the right things. This is really a chill conversation because they're pretty deep things, but we're talking at least. I hope someone's getting something out of this. So let me know your thoughts on all these things. Also, how you developed your thinking or like where you did it. So I kind of get an idea of your perspective-ish. I know your surroundings can shape your perspective, or you can just be random like I did and like debate and argue with everybody. I'm not a very outgoing person, but I was very passionate about what I believed, and I still am, but I now know more about people and culture than I did back then. Because you can't just... Debating never changes anybody's mind. That's what I've learned. But I would love having conversations with my history teachers and religious teachers and stuff. Mainly just on things we disagreed with, because that was always more interesting than just talking about things, because I never liked getting into an echo chamber anyways. I kind of, when I did start my blog a while back, a lot of things I wrote about were critiquing people with similar beliefs as me, because I feel like you can do more good as, like, if you're a liberal or if you're a conservative, you could do more good critiquing your side, because maybe they'll listen to you more than critiquing the other side, who's just going to be like, well, you're this, and then write you off and walk away. Plus, then more people from the other side will see, oh, this side actually isn't insane. They're like working on what they think instead of just screaming at each other. But that's just a thought. We're reaching the 40-minute mark now, so I think I'm going to be quiet. And maybe I'll post this, maybe I won't. We'll see this Sunday. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see where this goes, and I'm sorry for the poor video quality. I'm just recording this on my Mac computer. I'm sure I'm gonna cut out a lot of the awkward silences. I'm not jump cutting around or like being fake or anything. I just don't think you want to stare at me for a minute when I forget what I'm talking about. Don't know if that's ADD or what. I just like currently I'm staring at a bunch of pencils. And yeah, I think it made me think of a Fairly Odd Parents episode or so. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and we'll have some gamer content up. There's also another video I want to post of, I was just gonna bop my nose for some reason, a video, I have notes for that, about the PS5. So one more live action video and you won't have to worry about that. And sorry about my voice like getting progressively deeper. When I talk about more serious things, I get really deep to try to like seem less vulnerable, I guess. So really looking forward to seeing what you guys think about this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.